There are dark places in Middle-earth, where shadows fall darker than any tale describes. One of them is Moria, the dwarven kingdom beneath the misty mountains. It is not a lost city, left to rot and burn. It is a deep wound in the very heart of the world. A scar so old it may go back to the earliest days of creation. The tale most people know, that the dwarves mined too greedily and awakened a Balrog, is only half the tale. Beneath the dark pits and great halls of Moria is a secret older, darker, and worse than even the Lord of the Rings narrative describes. It is the dark secret beneath Moria, a secret few have attempted to discover. Across the Brandywine Bridge, the hobbits entered a world that now felt strange and dark. Over the peaceful villages of Bree and the solitary peak of Weathertop, the country rolled westward toward the great misty mountains, peaks that have stood guard over Middle-earth for millennia. Through the wetlands of Chetwood, Frodo and his friends marched west. Not realizing the Shire they had left now felt like a place they didn't know anymore. Ahead, the road to Moria lay veiled in the dark heart of the old mountains. To find Moria, we must go back to the beginning of the world. The misty mountains did not come into being in peace and light. They came into being in violence in the wars of the Valar, the godlike beings who shaped the world, and Melkor, the first Dark Lord. Tolkien's tales tell us that the mountains existed before the first elves awakened, before the sun and moon ever shone in the heavens. The dwarves did not simply form the deep caverns and tunnels below. They were dug out from the very bones of the world, old places made by the same powers that created light and darkness. As it is written in the ancient lore, in the beginning, when the world was young, Melkor's shadow touched all things, and the roots of the mountains bear his mark still. The deep places of the earth, where Moria lies, were not crafted by mortal hands, but shaped in the fires of creation and marred by the first rebellion. The corruption of Melkor ruined the earth, polluted waters, twisted stones, and spread darkness across the land. The foundations of the misty mountains perhaps carry the heritage of such corruption. Beneath the earth, there are vast hollows, older than time, where light never fell and silence reigns. These places were not built, but found. Durin's dwarves did not build Moria from scratch. They entered a pre-existing maze of darkness. Durin the Deathless was the oldest and most honored of the dwarves. He began Khazad-dum, which came to be called Moria, after having a vision of the Mirrormere, a peaceful mountain lake. In his vision, he saw his reflection, with stars above, which his people interpreted as a sign of his fate. This vision inspired him to excavate great halls and tunnels beneath the mountain. Khazad-dum prospered for many years and became the greatest of all the dwarven realms. Its mines yielded mithril, a well-known metal that was extremely light, but strong, and as a result, it was very precious in Middle-earth. The dwarves' craftsmanship was the finest. Their pillars rose high like forests of stone. Their halls echoed with the sounds of hammers and singing. But as the dwarves were celebrating their triumph, sinister things were happening down below. The farther they excavated, the more they unearthed secrets. Whole groups vanished, swallowed up by passageways no one dared to explore. Some regions were closed off, not because of falling stones or accidents, but on purpose. The dwarves recorded their actions in stone and ballads. But these lower regions are mute. Their silence is not accidental. It is a warning. Gandalf once remarked, "Far, far below the deepest diggings of dwarves, the world is filled with nameless things." These nameless things are beings older than Sauron, older than the Balrog the dwarves named Durin's Bane. They are nameless, faceless, songless, and storyless. They dwell in the dark that has been forgotten, far from light or hope. The dwarves did not merely dig too deep for gold or mithril. They stepped into traps, made to hold these ancient beasts. Gandalf once confided to his companions, "Far, far below the deepest delvings of the dwarves, the world is gnawed by nameless things. Even Sauron knows them not. They are older than he. Now I have walked there, but I will bring no report to darken the light of day." Moria's vast size reveals a great deal about its horror. Underneath the misty mountains, Khazad-dum stretches out in countless chambers and twisting tunnels. The mountain itself towers high above the lands of Eriador, with the summit of Zirak-Zigil glittering like a star above the desolation. The dwarves cut out great halls, enormous forges, and interminable stairways deep in the earth. One such was the Endless Stair. A stairway so long it winds from the deepest dungeons to the top of Zirak-Zigil. Gandalf, in his struggle with the Balrog, climbed this stair. No living dwarf had ever walked on it before. It may have been made by powers older than the dwarves, a link between the darkness below and the sky above. The destruction of Khazad-dum did not happen quickly. Dwarven diggers traveled from the east, digging deeper in search of veins of mithril and ancient knowledge older than the mountain itself. Miners disappeared without warning, and search parties sent to find them also disappeared. The halls above stayed intact, but dark forces grew below. The dwarves bricked up tunnels and sealed gates with stone, not to keep enemies out, but to trap what they had found. The Balrog, a terrible creature of fire and shadow, was the first to appear. The dwarves ran away in fear, leaving their ancient kingdom to fall into emptiness and silence. When the Fellowship of the Ring went into Moria, Gandalf warned them about unexplored paths. He avoided some tunnels, saying they were dangerous and abandoned. His fight with Durin's Bane at the bridge of Khazad-dum was not just a fight, it was stepping into darkness itself. Gandalf fell down the Endless Stair into places of shadow and fire, where time was broken. The Balrog's fire was not ordinary fire. It was ancient fire, a spark from the very beginning of the world, mixed with shadow. Gandalf later recounted, "We fought far under the living earth, where time is not counted. Ever he clutched me, and ever I hewed him, till at last he fled into dark tunnels. They were not made by Durin's folk, Gimli son of Glóin. Far, far below the deepest delving of the dwarves, the world is gnawed by nameless things." A second secret of Moria is hidden in the Hall of Echoes, a room deep beneath the 7 levels. Dwarves whispered of voices that were repeated back differently, speaking strange languages. Miners who stayed there disappeared, or came back, hurt and silent. The hall was closed off and forgotten. Some say it holds the memory of Arda's first song, the creation song, changed by time and shadow. It is said that in some places the stone remembers and talks on its own, a chilling thought. For a kingdom made of rock, Moria is more than a tragedy of greed. The dwarves went into a place where they were not safe. They stirred up fires older than the world and creatures with no names. They fled not only from a demon, but from a silence that destroys memory and will. Even after hundreds of years, the dwarves never tried to take back Khazad-dum. This is strange. For a people who fought dragons and orcs bravely and took back their lands, their silence shows a fear they could not overcome, a darkness they could not face. From the Shire's hills, across the Brandywine Bridge, past Bree and Weathertop, the Fellowship travelled closer to the Misty Mountains. Moria stretched out below them, where nightmare and history were mixed. Stepping through its gates, they did not enter a ruin, but the shadows of an old, dark truth. Gandalf said, "I have walked in many places that are now forgotten, His fight beneath Moria changed him. He came out alive, yes, but changed. His eyes colder, his voice quieter. The depths under Moria are tunnels, and more than tunnels. They are a gateway between our world and something older, darker, and eternal. The stair could have been the center of the universe, a stair from the Earth's root to the sky's top. If it was older than the dwarves, maybe it was built by beings older than the mountain's oldest residents. A gateway between worlds. The Balrog's fire was not normal. Tolkien described it as fire and shadow, mixed together. A spark of the ancient music. That created the world. This fire existed before the heart of the world. It is a holy spark, marked by the battle of light and darkness. The Misty Mountains were not peaceful, but rather weapons and shields forged in a cosmic war. Melkor ruined their bones. Moria is a scar left by that war. Durin the Deathless may not have been chosen by accident, but on purpose. What he saw at Mirrormere, and above him, the crown of stars, might have been an ancient trap laid beneath the mountain. The deep love of the dwarves for their homes and secrets shows they were drawn by voices and dreams calling them deeper. Durin's bane, the Balrog, was his killer, but also the protector of a secret buried deep in the earth. The dwarves left Moria, not only because of a monster, but because of a terror that could destroy the world. The story of Moria is not finished. It is a curse on Middle-earth's land, where time is twisted, fire burns as hot as creation, and silence hides secret horrors. The darkness under Moria is not forgotten. It sleeps, waiting for the day it will rise again. When the dwarves left, it was not panic, but an act of horror and care. They shut gates to close off the darkness, not just to save themselves, but to save Middle-earth. Khazad-dum stands, a kingdom lost not to fire and darkness, but to total silence. A stone inscription warns, some doors are best left closed, some truths too terrible to bear. The Shire was saved, not by kings or armies, but by 4 small hands and 1 big heart. And beneath the Misty Mountains, the shadows of Moria remain, still and waiting. The dark truth hidden beneath still remains, unspoken, unnamed, and unforgotten.